Greetings everybody, this is Marcel Williams giving you yet another talk. I hope that you're all well and keeping fit and safe from the infection and the spread of the COVID virus. The last time we spoke, I gave you a list of various sudden changes in society that people hardly believed could happen. To give you an example, yet again, I mentioned about 2020. We never knew that we'd enter a year and it could radically change the world like it did, the COVID-19. Then there was also the sudden shock of a businessman, a non-politician like Donald Trump winning the election in 2016. And then there was the end of the USSR. I mentioned that, something that people never believed could happen, almost overnight. And then also of the Berlin Wall, that everybody thought would never come down, but it came down. And also about apartheid, the people that lived through apartheid, we felt that it's a struggle that's going to go on forever. It was so brutal and so well organized that the struggle really was a struggle. And then the fact that blacks would rule the country in terms of a black president and black cabinet, that was a laughable affair in the 60s and the 70s and even perhaps even in the 80s. Then of course I mentioned the big one. After 2,000 years, the State of Israel was re-established in 1948. Before I go on to today, things that I want to talk to you about, I just want to mention another two shocking events that people could never believe could happen at the time. The first one was the Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. The fact that this unsinkable ship, and everybody was so secure in it, hit an iceberg in the dead of night in April 1912 and sunk. And at that dead of night, people were actually confronted with the icy waters of the Atlantic, a very big shock and even a shock to the world. And then there was the tsunami of Boxing Day in Banda Aceh, 2004. Such a sudden thing, holiday makers from Britain, France and Germany and other countries were comfortably enjoying after Christmas, Boxing Day morning, wanting to go to the beach, sleeping late, and suddenly there's this huge tsunami waves coming over, and life just turned on its head for those people. And then it affected the whole of Southeast Asia as well as East Africa. So this is not designed to scare you, but rather to prepare you. Things can change, as you've just experienced in 2020, radically. And we need to know that life can't just chug along like a slow train to China. But today I want to talk about this issue about the cancel culture. For instance, that there's this huge debate about, Facebook, Twitter, Google having to block certain information, the sharing of information, and there's this fear now that people don't experience freedom of speech. And, you have to be careful what you put on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, because the administration will block you or close you down or even cancel you. And the big shock for us is that, for instance, the president of one of the superpowers in the world, the United States of America, has been banned from one of these platforms, where he's got a following of over 90 million people. This is an unheard of situation, but it shows you how Big Brother has come into being. And now you get what is called fact checkers, and I've got questions about these fact checkers and several other people, where they want to decide for you what is a fact and what's not a fact. You'll find out that in many cases the so-called fact-checking is a mere device to block free speech or a certain kind of information. So be forewarned about that. You know, many of us belong to WhatsApp groups, and you'll find, for instance, that in this lockdown period of COVID-19, that there's more reliance on social media for people to have contact. And so you get these WhatsApp groups that are neighborhood watches, maybe political parties, NGOs, church groups, where people even form WhatsApp groups with former associates, workmates, being students. So it goes on and on and on. But you'll find out that even now in the WhatsApp group, the admin, or what we call the administration that actually runs the WhatsApp group or keeps it in order, is tending to do what the big companies are doing and blocking people or limiting people because of their fear of conflict amongst the members. You know, people get into arguments, and then you notice, for instance, that several people don't debate properly. They get personal and they become insulting. You'll see this on Facebook and so forth. So these people that are in admin, you can understand that they, with the Facebook and the WhatsApp groups, are concerned for that. And one can understand it, but actually it plays into the hands of this whole thing about blocking free speech. So it's a highly contentious thing, and it's debatable. And they tend to stop a certain kind of discussion. And for instance, they will post, or they'll even bring down the WhatsApp group temporarily, and then lift it up again, and then indicate what they want to accept and what they don't want to accept. I'm balanced in that viewpoint, because the people that are the admin for WhatsApp groups are working people. Maybe they don't have the time to watch all the posts that come on the chat, and with the result is that they have to limit the kind of focus that the chat is all about. But as I said, you know, it's got two sides to the coin. It's going to end up actually limiting free speech, and people can't really get to the point of real debate. Now, for instance, this drug ivermectin that I mentioned in a previous time, already Facebook is actually blocking discussion on it here, even here in South Africa. And there's a group that is very upset about the fact that they don't experience freedom of speech. There seems to be a blocking of the information of the effectiveness of this drug. So be forewarned about these kind of things, because freedom of speech is very important for the exchange of ideas and the truth. And I did mention this previous time about, you know, what is truth. These people that are fact checkers, for instance, or blocking, they are perhaps think they're doing a good thing, but actually they may be effectively being involved in blocking free speech, in free exchange of ideas, free debate, and so forth. And we're seeing this happening in a very big way in the United States of America. So I don't want to labor the point too long, but thank you for allowing me in your personal space. And stay well, stay safe, and stay alive.